Art has a unique way of capturing the essence of a community, and today we're featuring two artists whose works have enriched Michigan's cultural landscape. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Medina University. I'm Karen Sanborn. Joining us today are Tony Miello, a renowned illustrator, and Jeremy Hansen, a versatile artist and gallery director. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So we're going to start with you, Tony. Can you share what initially drew you into the illustration world and comic book art?
Well, when I was a kid, I was watching a children's program one Sunday morning, and I saw Stan Lee. And he was talking about how, you know, when he writes the Hulk, he growls like the Hulk, and he was talking about how he created Spider-Man and all this stuff. And I was just enthralled. Aww. And I was like, I want to make comic books when I grow up. And I started drawing from a young age, and that's what I do. I started in independent comics in the 90s back in New York, and I'm still working in indie comics.
That is fantastic. How fun. So Jeremy, your artistic journey spans multiple mediums.
It's true, yes.
What inspired you to seek out diverse forms of art?
I'm a professional idiot, and I just sort of do the next thing. I came by way of I was on Disney on Ice. I was a professional figure skater with Disney on Ice, but I've always had an attraction to the art world.
Wow.
I met somebody on Disney on Ice. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. He's from Brooklyn, obviously, if you can tell by the, so we're two boys away from here. But, basically, just always, I've always loved art. And so the River's Edge Gallery, we have an interior design firm that we have as well. Yeah. And that's sort of how I started. I started as an interior designer. I needed to finish my correspondence school. And so I said, listen, I said dude a lot. I was like, hey dude, and I said, I'll take out the trash, I'll work for free 2 weeks. And so I've been taking out the trash for 21 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, now I'm partners with the gallery and stuff like that, so yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about the River's Edge Gallery.
River's Edge Gallery is a 45-year-old gallery that's been in Wyandotte, that's been in Downriver. It's been really a gem, and it's sort of transcended and transformed throughout the years. And just representing local, regional artists. We also do custom framing and, like I said, the interior design as well.
Wow.
But just doing different shows, promoting local artists, and some artists have been with the gallery for 40 years, like Nora Chapman Mendoza behind me here, who actually is I believe a Medina University alum, who taught here and stuff. And so it's just we're just doing the art, all the art things in front of us, and representing that.
Right in Wyandotte.
Right in Wyandotte, Downriver, but Metro Detroit.
Yeah.
I've been to. I've taken the gallery to Jersey City, and I've been to Germany and things like that as well. So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So Tony, your work's been featured in a number of exhibitions. How has your experience showcasing your art affected your career?
It's hard to say because I don't think of myself as an artist. I think of myself as an illustrator.
Okay.
And which is more commercial. But when I met Jeremy, he kind of encouraged me to take my art off of just the comic page and try to do more with it.
Right.
And I started doing larger scale paintings, and a lot of my paintings are just large illustrations, but I've experimented more with different mediums, and I started painting on canvas for the first time. And
wow.
So now I do a different array of things, and I've been trying out new mediums and really trying to push the whole artist thing.
And these are, like, people buy these for their houses.
Yeah. Which I always find funny that somebody wants my drawing of Spider-Man to hang in their home, but yeah. That's,
grandkids would love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so fascinating.
But also to add on, Tony, so the watercolor print, you see the limited edition watercolor print of Tiger Stadium, Tony has really his first like solo show at the River's Edge last year. It was called Opening Day. That corresponded with opening. The man's a big baseball fan.
Yeah.
A New York baseball fan right there.
Okay.
So so he did that really cool watercolor. And that watercolor is, I believe it's about a 24 by 36, the original itself. That's why it's such a good looking print. Shout out ImageWorks. And then as you can see, the baseball over there, Tony was like, hey, what do I do? I'm like, dude, just do the things you like. And that's sort of, the idea. So he's got a whole series of these really cool contemporary paintings that are
And that's
a
a
baseball,
painting.
a bat,
Yeah.
a hat. It's really fun, fun stuff.
I paint what I like. I don't, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, or I paint what I like. I draw what I like, and that's why I probably don't take as many commissions as I should, because I don't want to work on something that I don't
You
feel.
don't feel, yeah, there's not a passion for
Yeah.
you.
So, like Jeremy was saying, the baseball show, I love baseball. I'm very passionate about baseball. So, I did a whole series of paintings, and which I'm going to actually continue. I decided every year I'm going to paint, I'm going to do paintings of the different baseball stadiums that I've visited. Oh. So
Fantastic.
That's,
There are so many people that go around to the different stadiums.
my
They'll
goal.
love it.
My goal is to be able to visit all the major league stadiums.
Yeah.
And what I do is I take a lot of I do the stadiums offer tours. So when I go into town, I take the tour of the stadium before the game, and I take tons of pictures and try to get lots of pictures of the stadium, so that this way I can put together my photo reference to do paintings of them. So I'll be doing more this year, and hopefully continue that on every.
And if you
opening
look,
day.
there is a cue. You might be able to tell Tony's two favorite teams, possibly, if you look closely.
The Mets and Detroit.
There you are.
Yeah. Well, one is my favorite team, so.
There you are. You're a
yeah.
Mets fan too?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm a Tigers fan.
There you are.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're just getting started. When we return, we'll dive deeper into Tony and Jeremy's creative processes and discuss the impact of their work on the community. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in. Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Karen Sanborn. Continuing our conversation with Tony Miello and Jeremy Hansen. So I'm going to start with you again, Tony. Walk us through your creative process when you're starting to develop a piece.
Gosh, that's it's weird. I don't have like a set process. I know there are different projects I have to work on through the course of a year, and depending on what events I'm doing.
Okay.
And so, like, if I was just at a hockey event, and I knew I needed to have some new hockey artwork done for the event, so it was just a matter of deciding who I wanted to paint.
Sure.
And then collecting up a bunch of reference for the different players I wanted to paint.
Okay.
But like if I'm doing a comic book, it's different because I have to, like a lot of the stuff I do, because it's illustrative, I'm working with photo reference most of the time.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like,
So a lot of my process is just collecting reference material. So
not necessarily your photos.
no,
Any
it's
photos.
any like I'll just scour, like I'll need a city street from a certain angle. So I'll just put in keywords into Google Images and search for city street, so I know what I'm looking at, because I don't want to guess a lot, especially with the backgrounds, because when you're doing a comic book panel, if your backgrounds don't match the pose of the figure, it looks off, and you might not know it's wrong, but your brain is telling you something is
it's not making
right.
sense.
It's not
Yeah.
lining up. Your perspectives aren't proper. So it's simple things I just draw freehand. But if the script I'm working from calls for specific things, I want to find the proper reference to work from.
Sure.
A
So
good,
a lot of-
good
yeah.
example would be his Tiger Stadium. Him and I went to one morning before the show, and we went to spent the morning at Tiger Stadium. He took many reference shots.
Yeah.
And this is the one he chose, so that's a really good
And then,
example. right there.
even that, they had a new sign in front of the entrance that I didn't like. So I went and I found more shots online of the entrance, and I took the part in my photo out and overlaid what was previously there the year
Sure.
before in Photoshop, and then I built a new image to work off of. So.
Wow. That's fantastic. So Jeremy, how do you approach curating exhibitions to ensure that they resonate with the local community?
So, to sort of like with that, to ensure that it resonates with local community, basically, I'm hoping that the community itself is educated enough. What I try to focus on is the artist producing, giving an artist an opportunity to produce the work that they feel they've got to produce. Not necessarily a niche thing, not necessarily because something's sold. So let's produce 100 of these. Let's like Tony's doing, like creating the work that you want to create, because everyone's going to connect with something. But I mean, like examples in the front table here would be like, I've got Fell 3,000 feet, who's 40 years old, has a 40+ career of doing street art. And in fact, when you go to the Michigan Central, you'll still it's this one right here. You'll still see some of his murals that they've kept up because of he's got the OGs, kind of I guess the term is that he's a king of in the graffiti world, a king of so you'll see crowns and things like that. But then you go next to it, we did a show, and this was by the Joe Scott, and people won't necessarily know who Joe Scott is, but you will, because Joe Scott in the 80s he was a graphic designer for Yellow Pages.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so Yellow Pages, for those who don't know, Yellow Pages was a big book that you used to sit on when you're eating dinner if you're too
I thought
short.
it was to hold the door open.
Right,
Okay.
right. Yeah, so that's that was your reference, but so there was an ad back in the day that if you buy a full page ad, they will design your logo for you for free. So you get a free logo design. Plus,
Nice.
but you have to buy a full page ad for the Yellow Pages, right?
Right.
So Joe Scott was one of the creators of many logos, like Art Van Furniture. That's one of them. But the one that people are really going to dig is Little Mr. Caesar's Pizza.
Oh my God.
Mike Illich gave him a call, and was like, yeah, I'll do a full page ad back in the day, and So on top of the LCA Arena, Little Caesars, that's thanks to Joe Scott right there. So, and he does a lot, he does a lot of 3D work and illustrative stuff. So you'd come home every day and you would just create work, and yeah. So
how do you get young emerging artists? How do you get them started?
The gallery, like I said, the gallery's been around for 40 years, so we have a reputation. People will randomly hit me up through my website or come through. I do my best to go to different events and different things, art-related things, and
sure.
Just meet artists, and see their work and things like that as well. So it's, it's really, we're not pretentious like that. We're like a hardworking downriver art gallery that just is has stood the test of time, because I think that we're just showing sincere, honest work, as opposed to stuff that like just printing money. You know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah. Stuffy. It's not stuffy.
Well, no, definitely not.
No,
But
definitely
I do try to be. I do try to be. I do try to have an air of pretentiousness about me.
That's fantastic.
As you can tell. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break. And when we return, we'll explore Tony and Jeremy's future projects and their vision for the art scene in Michigan. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in. Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
Nice. No. Oops. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy.
Works every time.
Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Karen Sanborn, here with Tony Miello and Jeremy Hansen as we wrap up our discussion about their artistic journeys and the future of their work. So Tony, are there any new projects that you're working on that you'd like to share with the audience?
I'm going to be working on, like I said, new baseball stadium paintings for my stadium series. I am currently working on 2 graphic novels, which I hope we'll at least have one finished by the end of the year. But if you follow me at Rocketing Studios on Facebook, you'll be able to hear more about that as news comes out. And I'm hoping to work on some more paintings this year. So,
wow, lots of work.
Well, one of the graphic novels I am working on is a comic strip that I do called Gappo the Clown. I figure I should mention that since it's kind of important. So Gappo the Clown is he's just a mean, drunken degenerate who happens to host a kids' TV show, and because he's on television, everybody loves him. So it became my kind of commentary on celebrity, and I've been working on that for, I think, close to 12 years.
Wow.
So yeah, the third graphic novel is what I'm working on right now. So
Yeah, I'll be following. Yeah.
Well, you should get a book. They're a great read. you know? Yeah.
So Jeremy, what are your plans for the River's Edge
Well,
Gallery?
the 2025 calendar for River's Edge Gallery is all set, and just we're going to be doing. I've got Johnny B. Bedanjic, who is the drummer for Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, the Rockets. He's a fantastic painter. I'll be doing a show with him in April. I'll be having Slaw, who's a well-known Detroit artist. He'll be doing our show in July for the Duration of Art Fair.
Yeah.
Martine McDonald, of course, Skilling November. We're doing a Great Lakes show. So just different things.
and Jeremy will be having his first solo show
at
the gallery. In September.
That's fantastic.
20 years. I feel I've sort of earned it. If you come to the gallery, you're not going to see a lot of my work up. I do have a studio on the 3rd floor. River's Edge has 3 floors too, by the way, so there's a lot of
a lot to see.
A lot of cool stuff to see. In fact, March 15th is going to be. We're going to have a Meet the Artist night every January. I throw a beach party, and you're going to say, well, people are always like, oh, what's that? Well, it's Beach of the Mind. So it's just a fun thing, and it's warm, and people come, and we serve fun drinks and food, and the artists are there, and it's a nice little party. Play some records. It's cool.
And if you want to listen to more of our idiocy, you could tune into the Good Guy Show, which is a podcast the two of us host, where we talk about nonsense going on in the art world and just rail against nonsense.
Yeah, so. it's a little colorful. And sometimes, but we do, and also.
Well, you're colorful.
Well, thank you. But
we're artists.
We do have, thanks to the Wyandotte Connects, we do have a couple YouTube shows out there as well on the YouTubes. So.
Awesome.
It's actually, if you don't know, The Gooder Guys is actually America's #1 arts podcast from two guys who aren't from Wyandotte.
I did not know that. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's our,
of all the podcasts, produced by two guys who aren't from Wyandotte,
we're the
number one.
Right.
Wow. Who would have known?
I know. You're welcome.
So there's a lot going on in Wyandotte.
It's true. Yes.
Social district.
That's right. Yeah, during the pandemic, things were weird, right? So there was a whole Michigan state that did chose cities, and Wyandotte was one of the chosen ones to have a social district. So it's kind of like sort of a softer New Orleans kind of thing. You get to go to the bar, take a little drinky drink.
We are the Down Riviera.
We are the Down Riviera.
Michigan.
Oh, I love it. Yes. I love it.
Yes.
So and
Third Fridays are coming back too. So there's lots of opportunities to come to Wyandotte and see art, check out some of our cool restaurants.
Yeah.
We've got some really cool shops happening as well. And
but most importantly, come down and see the art.
See the art.
Come down to River's Edge Gallery, artattheedge.com. And also Art at the Edge on Instagram.
Art of the Edge.
Art at the Edge.
artattheedge.com.
ARTATTHEEDGE.
That's awesome. So, would you like to tell emerging artists how they might exhibit at your gallery? What should they do?
Work hard. Make
lots of art.
Make lots of bad art.
Okay.
Burn it, throw it away, repaint, give it away. But there comes to a point where you got to take yourself a bit more seriously as an art. If you're going to be an artist, and the whole idea is you either do it or you don't. The idea of well, I have to work. Well, yeah, that's the starting your career. You have to have that side gig or whatever. But you gotta put the time in and build that technique.
Sure.
There was somebody said something to the effect of you have to produce 1,000 pieces before you know what you're doing.
Right.
Before you've figured out how to be an artist.
Yeah.
Right. So,
before you get to this.
Well, I'm not even at 1,000 pieces, I don't think, but it's you're always learning something new. There's always a new trick to figure out. There's always something, a new way you're going to learn to use your materials. If you're not developing as you go, then you're dead in the water, and you might as well just stop.
Right, because somebody's going to pass you up.
Yeah, it's not even a point. I mean, you're not in competition with anybody other than yourself. But you want to produce the best work you can, and if at any point you say, oh, "I've learned all I can learn," you're finished because you haven't. You can always learn something new. I try to do something different every time I put pen to paper. So I'm trying to learn something new, trying to learn new techniques. I'm terrified of oil paint for whatever reason, but that's my next goal is to work with oil paint. So
yeah, okay. Anything else that our viewers should know?
Support local. I can't say, especially this day and age, I can't say that enough.
Right.
If you see like something at one of those big box stores, it's pretty and it's on cheap paper imported, or cheap whatever imported, but you like it, that's cool. But there's an artist out there that is within your price range, and if you get like original artwork, or you get something from an artist, whether it's a limited edition print, but something that connects with someone in your local community. I mean, you're keeping your money local, and that artist is able now to buy more paint to keep going to pursue further aspirations. So yeah,
to build their career.
Yeah, so just keep it local, guys. Quit quit messing around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, keep it local.
Yeah.
So Tony, Jeremy, it has really been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Your work and your contributions to Michigan's art scene are inspiring, and we can't wait to see what you do next.
Cool.
Thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Be sure to check out Tony Miello's comic art and visit River's Edge Gallery to experience Jeremy Hansen's curated collections. We'll be back next time.